everyone, welcome back to Cowabunga Corner News. In this episode, we are sitting here with Ciro, who is the man behind the new Nickelodeon Ninja Turtle series coming out this month. And I am really, really stoked and excited with everything we've been seeing since Comic-Con. It's been one thing after another. Thank you for joining us. Since then, we have gotten to see clips. We're getting to see the action figures. Everything is falling together more and more. Not as many people bringing up that third toe anymore.
I know, thank God. I still think it's well, you know, it's a third toe, but it was always I always kind of thought that the third toe was in the back and it evolved towards the front. But
we always saw that as the heel.
Yeah. Well, it's like, you know, it evolved.
It's different, but it's now to the point where most of us are going, okay, we're getting used to that piece.
Yeah.
And the April thing is still one of those things people are still saying they don't know because the clips are not showing us too much April yet.
Right.
So, see, there's a few things being saved for the show.
I know.
Now, what has this year been like for you getting prepared and going through everything?
Well, it's hard to kind of step away from it because I'm still in the middle of it. So it's like I kind of just accumulate just the wear and tear of where I'm at. Like, I can only see far back a couple weeks, it feels like. So, like, right now I feel like it's been all press because, like, we're getting ready to, like, get this thing out. But it's been also, I've been finishing shows. You know, we started making this show almost 3 years ago, and I'm literally at a stage now where every 2 weeks I'm putting the show to rest. So we've got a bunch in the can, which is great.
Yay!
Yeah. And it's neat because, you know, at some point you have, like, you know, you're working on all 26 at once. It's some stage of production, whether it's writing all the way through to editing or sound effects and mix. And to be able to go, okay, well, now there's 20 left, or now there's 19 left, and to not think about so many things at once is, like, it's been really great, like, and it's just been helping me kind of start to see light at the end of the tunnel.
Now, you're working mainly just on season 1, right now?
Right.
And according to the Toy Fair, season 2 has already been approved. There's 2 seasons going to be.
Well, there's, you know, that's in the very, very early stages. I mean, I think we have some kind of stories kind of roughed out, but it's not really in production yet.
With the show, you're mainly working with the art area. Do you also have your hands in on the voicing and stuff?
Well, yeah, I'm at every record. I mean, I was a big part of casting. You know, I mean, I'm an executive producer, so, I mean, I think that title is kind of, you are doing everything with a broad stroke, and then you do, you know, the one specific thing that you do with a much finer detail, which would be the art side. You know, just like there is, like, Peter right now is our executive producer in charge of writing. You know, we're kind of counterparts that way. But yeah, I pass a hand over every step of the process.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
It's neat getting to actually see everything come together with your own eyes.
Oh yeah, it's kind of crazy.
You're going through that. With the art, how much of each show, there's different artists working on this, how much of each show do you actually have your own artwork in?
It always varies depending on where I'm at and what the show actually is. So, like, on a show where I would do a lot, literally I would take a script at the point where it's first written, sometimes while it's still in outline form, and I'll sit down and literally do concept doodles of just about everything that appears in that show, whether it's a character or an environment, and even like a handheld prop that Donnie might have created. And then that ends up, then I have a series of meetings where I do actual, like, production handouts, like art handout to the art staff, which, you know, all in all we have like 86 people here. And then they go about the real labor of just taking that concept that I did and turning it and designing it. And there's supervisors and stuff like that will, and the idea is that every step of the way people take what I did and plus it and make it theirs as well.
And everything for the Ninja Turtle series is being done right here at Nickelodeon Animation Studios?
Everything outside of the, from a design standpoint, yes.
Okay.
You know, and the modeling, and the lighting, and the post. We do the animation overseas, but we do as many as possibly 40 scenes per show here of animation.
That's cool. That way it's a little bit of both. And
yeah. Well, you know, show might have about 500 scenes, so.
Have you gone overseas to see where they're doing it there? Or?
I've been to Canada, which is we have a partner studio in Canada, Bardell. They're fantastic. And I have not been to India yet. Our other producer Ant Ward and McGregor Middleton, those are the two other producers. They have been there repeatedly in India. A studio called Technicolor.
That's cool.
I've been too busy. Like, if I go, it all kind of falls apart. I can go to Canada because it's a 3-hour plane trip and come right back.
Yeah, it's not horribly far.
Yeah.
Now, with the cartoon series coming around and starting to finish up, have you basically been seeing exactly what you were hoping to see with the series, or has there been alterations that you like or dislike?
You know, this thing, I'm kind of used to this. Like, it's never going to be exactly what you want it to be. That's always the case. But what you do, what you learn when you make enough shows is that, you know, what the show really ultimately ends up being, basically, is a sum means of all the talent of the people working on it. So what's really important is putting your crew together. Like, if you don't want someone to have a voice on the show, then you shouldn't hire them. So it's like, yeah, I mean, for me to say, is it my vision or is it what I totally wanted it to be, it's impossible, because there's like 300 people involved at some point, you know? And it's like it would take all my mental strength to try and make those people be me. So what it is, you know, you cut your losses. You go, I'm going to do this much in the front and get that across, and then I'm going to get these people who I appreciate and I admire and that inspire me and have them take it past where I can't.
Yeah.
It's teamwork.
Oh, that's really cool, because there's a lot of people working on it, and to know that there's different words. Is most of the people on the staff Turtle fans from the original?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there's been, you know, when we first started, putting the staff together was kind of difficult because at the time, I think it kind of was looked at as like, it's not that it was a non-starter, it was just people didn't know what to make of it because it was CG mostly, and a lot of my friends and guys that I appreciated are diehard 2D, like, Japanese animation guys, and they were just kind of leery of the whole process, I think. And now that, so it was really hard to find like all the great guys that I wanted, you know, because everyone was going to work on other projects that were happening already. There was literally like 14 projects when we started. Like, a lot of stuff was starting up, so the talent pool was small. Now that, like, they were seeing stuff and they appreciate it, and like the rumors that go around are pretty positive, I've been able to kind of get a lot of really great talent. And the guys who are showing up are kind of these classic guys that I knew growing up that were like total Ninja Turtle comic guys. That are like, you know, they're the same guys that like sit around and listen to Wu-Tang and watch Dragon Ball Z, and it's pretty fun. Like, I feel like I'm in junior high again. We have some really amazing guys upstairs, actually, that are a lot of comic book guys. It's a pretty amazing talent group. It's the most talented group of guys I've ever worked with. But they'll come to me and be like, yo, I don't like it when Mikey does this. What's up with that? And I'll be like, oh. And then, like, so everyone has kind of a voice, where at least they're vociferous. It's like it polices itself, kind of.
There is one thing new with Mikey that a lot of us especially have noticed, and it was really pushed over at Comic-Con, Booyakasha.
Uh-huh.
Where did Booyakasha come from?
I think the network was pressuring us to do something, to make a decision one way or another about Cowabunga. And my take on it was not yet with Cowabunga, because I wanted to figure something out with it. And in the early stages, the writers hadn't come up with anything yet. So that was kind of going around a lot. Where's the new Cowabunga? Where's the new Cowabunga? And we were actually just in a booth at that point recording a show. And Sipes actually just blurted out Booyakasha, because it's just Sipes. It's what he says. And there was like 3 or 4 executives in the room, and they all really liked it, and it stuck.
That was a big question coming out.
But immediately everybody was Googling it, like all these executives are like, what is this? Like,
I hear it's some star in England.
No, well that's the last iteration of it, but it's a Jamaican patois thing. It means to kind of like it's basically getting psyched or pumped. It's giving praise. It's like oh yeah and an all right kind of thing. It can't. People start coming up and going, no, it's this person's words, and I'm like, oh, I don't know anything about it. I just heard it at Comic-Con. Yeah, it's fun to say. I mean, we used it on Teen Titans too. Cyborg used to say it. I think it's not We didn't invent it.
Is there a lot of influence with the animation, especially like we saw the Krang scene from Teen Titans with how the turtles' eyes go big, or is that like referencing more towards anime itself?
Well, I wanted, like, I'm a big fan of animation, and it's not just Japanese animation, like a lot of those takes and stuff come from, they go back to just the Termite Terrace kind of Looney Tunes shorts, whether it's Clampett or Tex Avery, and it even goes back to, as far as to the Disney shorts, especially the Donald Duck ones, which I really love from the 40s, and a lot of it is really just this love for animation and not putting limits on what the acting does. When we were moving into this, and it was very clear that we had to do it in CG, we would welcome anything like that was very graphic and extreme, just to kind of try and change and push the CG medium. The idea of it being this anime thing then almost starts to become, the specific aesthetic of how we apply it. Like, well, the line kind of is scratchy or this and that, but the idea of where it comes from is just like a classic sensibility that you see in American cartoons too, and actually in comic books. A lot of what that came from was just trying to emulate the stuff that Kevin and Peter were doing in the comics. Like, the turtles would go wide-eyed, and they would literally, like, we wanted to see some of those shapes as drawings. They read better than they did as the CG model. So,
okay.
A lot of people are calling it an anime influence, and it's easy because of the Teen Titans thing, and that's my background. But Teen Titans, I think we were doing a lot. It was come from the same place.
Well, they were saying it's a lot of Teen Titan feel because we got, Beast Boy is now Michelangelo, and then we saw that animation style, so it really did feel to the fans, it's got a Teen Titan kind of hint towards it. But I'm also seeing a lot of really characteristic things that remind me of the Turtles themselves. I love the training clip that has come out with Splinter going up and disciplining Raph.
Yeah.
It kind of gave me a feel of the 4Kids series, how Splinter would train the Turtles.
Yeah.
And I recently heard on an interview where you were talking how he's going to be more of a father character in this. He felt like a father character in that, so I'm curious in which directions you're going to be going with Splinter there.
Splinter is basically, we did the whole thing where he was taller just so that would read. What I didn't want to do was, we made Splinter taller as a decision to not make the turtles smaller in a way, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
Like, it's like you make one bigger, not the other one's smaller. So the turtles themselves, if they're out and about and they're holding their own, you don't think, hey, these guys are teenagers or they're kids, right? Because relatively, you're staring at them, and the scale is they're just Ninja Turtles. But as soon as they go back to the lair, and you put Splinter next to them, I think, like, just the scale of him versus them, you automatically go, oh my God, they're his sons. Like, if you see it, he like lords over them. And it was really helpful, I think, and it helps, it helps with the writing too, because just that visual thing of him kind of being bigger than them and reading as a silhouette, as their kind of leader and their guidance and their chaperone, kind of, you don't have to overwrite this like kind of pandering kind of sense that he's the father and all that kind of thing. But no, he's always home. They come home and they confer with him, and he gives them advice. I'm kind of really happy about the idea that Splinter actually kind of dishes out some ass kicking a few times. We've seen it a few times now in the show. I'm kind of into it. Every time I see Splinter fight, I get really jazzed.
That's cool.
Because I don't see it that often. Like, you don't really see it, and it's neat to see.
So far, one of my favorite in the history of Splinter fighting goes to the 4Kids series. They had the episode where he goes up against the Foot to save his sons, and Shredder strikes, and that was a brilliant fight scene, seeing him come up there and save them.
It was on the rooftop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were split apart.
They were in the alley when he first found them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a fun fight scene. So I'm looking forward to seeing Splinter fight. There is one more thing about Splinter. Mm-hmm. Where did the design of the face come from?
Well, I don't know.
Basically the white.
Well, if you look at the toy, it doesn't really look right. I mean, there's too much white on the face.
There is a lot of white on the face of the toy.
Yeah. So when I look at the face, it's a little odd. In the show, it looks fantastic. I love the way Splinter's face looks. Basically, it was the idea of what reads, and you have a character that's in a lot of dark settings, and some things had to be, set against white. And it was just like, it was looking at, like, it was really just beautifying him, like what made him handsome, and things that almost gave the impression that he had, like, facial hair or, markings to kind of define his planes. Because when you're designing a character with a muzzle and he starts to kind of come at frame, a lot of it flattens out. And if you don't have enough color breaks in there, you lose the anatomy of his face and it just turns into a blob. So what we do, I looked at a lot of animals and a lot of fur. I designed Splinter. So I looked at a lot of, and it's weird. I'm stuttering a little bit because it was almost 3 years ago. And I was like, who did that? Okay. But it was basically like, I remember I looked at rats, I looked at dogs. And what I went with was this really kind of like, almost like ticked kind of hound color. Like, there's a lot of rat colors out there, and a lot of them usually are different variables of gray and mangy. And I think I wanted to kind of do something that made him a little bit more, polished and refined.
A deer with the same type of pattern on its face, so we're like, he looks like that. So, but
well, that's not bad looking like a deer.
It's not bad. It was just different. So that's another one of the ones we're adjusting to, and the changes.
Yeah.
But overall,
he's very ratty. I watched enough of the show, and like, I always do that step away. I go, is he still a rat? He's still a rat. Because a lot of the early designs that I had done and other people had done, like, it was really, and I think what we've seen actually in the other versions of the shows, he starts to teeter on like this terrier kind of look. It's really easy to want to make him look like a Scottish Terrier or a rat hair terrier. And it's like, and you got to be kind of careful about like there's this slope of a nose and a brow that a rat has that a rat's nose actually does this. It goes like here from the eyes. And a lot of what was happening in their designs, it would cut down and out like a dog. So we're really careful about getting that. There's a fine line.
The worst one is Turtles 3. That one really looked like a dog.
In the film?
Yeah, the third movie.
Yeah.
When all effects took over, that was just like, wow. That, and even the next mutation did not get Splinter down right. With looking like a rat. But that was a human head in a costume. Couldn't do
Coming out of their shells, he looked more ratty. He had like a really big head though.
Yes,
it's kind of horrifying.
Huge head.
And he did that like the 12 days of Christmas. Doesn't he do that song?
Yes, he does. On the first day of Christmas, the turtles gave to me a pizza with pepperoni. Is it bad? I know it.
That. It's a little bad. It's impressive, actually.
What's your thoughts on the toy line made off of the characters you designed?
Well, there was I've met with them early on, and it's been an evolution. I actually really love that core group of the 4 turtles. They're like my favorite turtle figures. I'm not just saying that as the guy that was kind of a part of it. It's just, from a posability standpoint, and actually even like the materials used, they have this like durable sensibility to them, and like the different materials coming together and the color choices, like they're pretty neat. Like I really wish I had them as a kid. Like I have them actually all over the place because I have a couple sets, and they're broken up. Like I'll go in the kitchen and Michelangelo will be there, and then whatever I'm doing, like I'll just stop and like look at it, and I'll be like, whoa, that's a cool Mikey. Like it strikes me, No, they're really neat. They're really well made. I think we're really specific about, I'm kind of a fan of the old toys. Definitely a fan of the old toys, and when I watched the old show, I didn't think that the toys exactly matched that show. They obviously don't. Yeah. So I like kind of keeping that kind of idea alive, that there's the show and then the toys have their own kind of thing happening. They're kind of like the show, but they're also following this heritage of what the Playmates toys have always looked like, and they're original in that sense. And to me, I kind of think it makes the franchise feel like kind of bigger and have more life and more stretch.
It is really cool that Varner Studios and Playmates is still involved.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the guys from Varner are amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they came, I was kind of thrilled that they sculpted that stuff.
It's really cool stuff.
Yeah, and they brought some of the old prototypes. It was pretty amazing.
Is there anything you would like to say to the fans who are anticipating this show coming out very soon?
I'll tell you what, because this has happened to me several times. If you're going to watch the show that night when it premieres, or Saturday morning when it premieres, definitely have a pizza, like, ordered and ready. Because, like, I'm serious, like, at some point you're going to be like, oh, man, I wish I could eat a slice of pizza. I'm starving. And it's like, it'll be perfect, like, you know. And it's a really good show. I mean, that first story, which is a two-parter, it really, I love it because, I mean, Josh and Jeff did a fantastic job. Like, it really has this, like, kind of feature pace, which is refreshing, like, for television, because usually you're telling a really big story in 22 minutes, but the pacing of it is a little bit compacted, you know. To see a two-parter, you really get this nice full turn and, like, fleshed out story, and it's like, and you're really able to digest it. It's really comforting. So it's like, you know, it's a real kind of popcorn kind of event. It really feels like it. Like when I was watching it, we first finished it and I sat down, I felt like I was like 12 years old, like, and it was like this like summer movie magic kind of vibe kind of came over me. It was pretty exciting.
That's good.
Yeah, I was into it. And I've made lots of stuff, and sometimes you go, it's all right. Or, yeah, that was cool. This one was just kind of like, I felt some magic. I was like, wow. I can't wait.
Oh, we definitely cannot wait.
Yeah,
this is so thrilling.
I just hope that, you guys don't watch those clips on nick.com over and over so many times that, like, you blow the fun moments. Just watch them as much as you can and then try to forget it all and then just enjoy the show. There's some great stuff in there.
We're excited and we cannot wait for all of this to happen. Yeah. Could you give a booyaka shot to the camera before we wrap up?
Okay. Booyakasha!
Thank you, everyone. We'll catch you next time on Cowabunga Corner.